Anyone got any Snickers bars?
I'm sorry, guys. I just gotta say.
All right, everybody. We just got a message that at the moment it will just be me and Shadow Slicer and the Peacekeepers in the waiting room. All the NA devs and people will be on at 6 their time.
What is this our time?
Probably going to be during the night for us.
Yeah, very good battalion night, very good. Working as intended, that's the most things in this game. Very proud.
That's too bad.
Is there anything they cannot fuck up? Model damage the second time completely blown away. Whole mechanics crashed for this game. Anything they can do right?
User was moved to your channel.
Yes, they can do right.
User was moved to
Yeah,
your
they
channel.
can.
Know what?
User was moved
They
to
can
your
do
channel.
marketing
User
to
was moved
milk
to your
more money
channel.
out of people,
User
but
was
they
moved to
cannot
your
do
channel.
right their job.
Okay,
I
guys,
think
we're in the.
something-
Yeah. If anybody has anything to say about it, please put it on the forums on the Battalion Night thread. We have nothing to do with that decision, obviously.
Very impressive, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, peacekeepers and forum moderators can't comment on that. So yeah.
So
just,
we're all officially volunteers. So while we do get some information, it's very rare we have official information.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But making a
Some of-
forum post announcing a battalion night, that's very impressive, gentlemen. Very proud of you.
yeah, please, yeah. Like,
Wasting time. Yeah.
It's-
Perfect
yeah.
organization 100% of the time, so get over it.
yeah, and
Things like this happen in every company.
when you guys put the comments on the thing, please be polite about it. I know you are most of the time, Tiger Claw, so that way Spitfire doesn't have to close the thread, okay? So,
I'm done with the forums. I'm not commenting anything anymore on the forums.
so yeah, we, you know, yeah, we're.
I'm
You're in
currently
a bad spot.
trying to get something. This is annoying.
Well, we can turn this around. Who wants to play together? Let's make
Yeah,
this a fun
let's-
evening.
Is there a prize? play with you.
User disconnected from your channel.
Well, you can hang out with us. How about that?
I'm up for games if anyone wants to, on the EU server, of course.
User joined your channel.
There's people in
Yeah,
that other
same
room.
here.
There's people in that other room below us. Ask Devs and Community Manager 1. There's people in there waiting to ask questions.
Yeah, Tazarush, I'd go into Firo's channel because you speak German, so if you want the questions answered, go there, buddy.
Yeah, and same with anybody that speaks Czech. Go in Silent Stalker's room down below.
That's
the
cool.
Polish community managers. The Polish community manager is down below. So if anybody for Polish speaking, just go down to that lower channel. He'll help you out.
Anyone who doesn't speak English, go down to other channels, which we'll try and direct you to, or will. will.
Anybody else? Yeah, we can just shoot the shit with you. We know some answers, but not all, and not all of them official.
But what do you know?
I know more than some of these guys because I do all the tournaments and leagues, so I know a little bit more than some of them. But some of it I can't comment on.
But what can you say? What can you transmit to us?
We can transmit to you that stick with the game. Populations are going to increase soonish. They've got I know of about 3 or 4 plans that they're doing. Okay, you heard the announcement last week on the stream. Did you watch the developer stream last week?
User left your channel.
On the developer stream last week, Richard Taylor said, and this is not for me, Richard Taylor, anybody can watch the video, that they're looking at Steam, putting the game on Steam.
Ah yes, yes they said.
Yeah. So we can say
That's-
stuff like that because Richard Taylor said it. It's not a secret now. So there's stuff like that. We know that they're looking at things to increase the North American server, especially. But we can't get into details in that. Like I think most of the Peacekeepers mods know some of the stuff they're doing, but they've got a lot of plans. They've got a lot of plans to do it, but they want to get the game perfect first. Not perfect, but better first. They want to fix some bugs, right?
Balanced.
They want to fix the bugs. They want patch 116 to come in because the loot's coming in 16, right? There's 2 more tier 10s coming in 16. I think is like it's been announced that they announced the Russian T-15's coming in 10, right, or in 16, and there's one more that they haven't announced yet that's coming. So stuff like that. So yeah, by patch 17, it should be way better.
What about the credits income and XP income in PvA? Because in patch 15 they were drastically reduced.
Right, and how they address that. If you guys know, and I don't play PvE a lot. I admit that. I've only got 400 or 500 games in PvE, and the credit income, they're increasing it with this patch for 100 to 150,000 credits for that first mission every day. So that increases it. That makes up for part of it right there. Okay. The other part is they've got that int bonus for 15% more credits for 2 hours, and you can get that every day pretty much. Okay. So that 15% for 2 hours makes up for all those credits you lost. That 15, pretty right? You make more credits than that. So PvE players have to realize that you're making more credits with those two bonuses because they increased the 1 to 150,000, okay, and then they put the 15% bonus on credits for 2 hours, and you can use that whenever you want. So you make more credits with the mission system now. So that people got to realize that, and I don't think people realize that. They don't put those into their numbers, especially the 15% credit increase. That one is huge. Okay, so you make 100,000 a battle. That's 15,000 extra more times. How many battles can you do in 2 hours? 10 at least. So you made 150,000 credits there. Plus you make 150,000 on the first win for the other mission. So that's 300,000 credits. And you only lost. And the other way was what? The old system was 250,000. So you made 50,000 more credits easily. So they're there. The credits are there.
It's just it's true. The credits just aren't up front. You can't get the credits up front now, and honestly, I prefer it that way because it works against those who just simply jump into a battle and quit out of it just to get those easy credits.
Yep. Yeah, it prevents that. Yeah, it prevents AFKs a lot.
Yeah, because the amount of times I see them is unreal, and that really bugs the living shit out of me.
Yeah, but here's the problem. And who was that asked that question? Was that Saladin? Who was that? But the problem is that my.com does not explain that enough to people properly and make them understand that the 15% credit boost will more than make up. If you take that 50, let's say if you play PvE and PvP like a lot of people do, and you take that 15% credit boost and you take a tier 6 premium, you're going to make 500,000 credits in 2 hours extra, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking because I got in my battalion players that have no premium account, and they always whine about how little expand credits they get after a PvE game, or they sometimes end up with 5,000-6,000 credits after a PvE game.
Yeah, and don't forget, and a lot of people miss this part. Okay, they said this months ago, and all the peacekeepers and forum mods can back me up on this. They said about 3 or 4 months ago, PvE credits will not equal PvP until insane mode's in. Insane mode, they said, then the credits will be even. All right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The thing is, since in PvE, you have to actually win to make quite a lot of credits, and PvE is pretty much take a challenger and just stay around shooting everything while not getting damage at all and an easy win. So they made it so that the credits are. This is highly distracting.
That's true. Drew, you're present. Guys, Drew's here. He's the senior community manager.
Hello, everyone.
I'm over.
Hello, Drew.
Hello, everyone.
You're echoing.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your question there, so I hadn't said anything yet, but I just wanted to quickly jump on here and apologize, guys, for the late start and and the apparent lack of staff that we had on. So I wanted to give you guys my deepest apologies on that. I'm not sure why that happened, but it'll be something I'll be getting to the bottom to, so it never happens with any further Battalion Nights. And so I wasn't originally planning to attend this portion of the Battalion Nights because this is mainly to the EU audience. But I'm very happy to answer some questions for the next hour or so. I will give you answers to the best of my ability, and I will be completely honest with you if I don't have the answer to that or if I can't talk about that. So, so please, I understood your question to be that I didn't see who was talking, but in PvP, in order to get credits and reputation and other such rewards, a player would be, you're required to have some skill and participate in the battle and whatnot. Whereas in PvE, getting reputation and credits could just be jumping. There's not too much of a challenge. It's more of just being in there, shooting a couple things, and then you get rewarded. Is that was that your question, or am I off on that?
Yeah, something like that. But the problem was that in PvP, as I said earlier, the matchmaker is so bad because you lost 15-0, 14 or 13-0, and this is very, I don't know, unsatisfying. You play 5-6 games in PvP, then you lost all of them with this score, and then what else? And either go to PvE or you just disconnect from the game.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in here with a counter question to you guys, to everybody in the community. So, we've made a lot of changes to Matchmaker lately, and there's been a lot of discussion on the Matchmaker specifically about the skill-based matchmaking, and then we remove skill-based matchmaking. So my first question to everybody is, one, how do you believe matchmaking is working? And two, what differences have you seen in Matchmaker since we've removed skill?
Well, from my part, it's still bad. It's not okay. The teams are not equally made. And if the teams were a little bit better made or a little bit equally, you cannot end up with this kind of defeats with 13-0, 14-0, 10-0. Because I played this game for about 1.5 years. And before that, I was playing the other games with competition, so to say, and there usually you lose 3 or 4-0 or something like that. So the matchmaker was better made. I don't know how, but it was better made. Here the difference is too great, and this is frustrating. When you see that you lost with 14-0, it's frustrating. You have no will to play.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand how frustrating the experience could be if you're repeatedly getting into matches where there are landslide victories. I don't actually have metrics or telemetry in front of me to be able to speak to just as overall on the server wide what where we're at in terms of how many landslide victories there are. So I guess to me a landslide victory would be if there are 8 or more opponents left, if they're more than half the other team when the opposing team when your team is defeated. That to me is a landslide victory, where there's still half the team going. The devs may have a different interpretation of what a landslide victory is. I have personally, I have my Drew CM account that everybody sees me play on, but I also have a shadow account that I'm not going to give out the name for, that I actually use to play naturally because I want to actually play with everybody as a player and not have everybody just aim at me when a CM jumps on. So I haven't had the same experience as you. I play on both servers, so I play on EU and NA, and like I said, I don't have those metrics in front of me to be able to tell you whether we're seeing more landslide victories or less landslide victories since the skill-based matchmaking was removed in point 15. What I will say is that clearly getting matchmaking right is a process. It's basically going to be based on iterations of how we deal with matchmaking, right? So we make a change, we have to really, you know, deploy it, let it out in the wild, see what the community feedback is, but also take a good look at what the telemetry is telling us too, and then see what additional changes need to be made. Clearly, there needs to be further changes, because the perception is from a lot of players, this is not, you're not the only one I've heard this feedback from, but the perception is that there are still a lot of landslide victories. So it's something that the team is definitely going to have to look into. And I think also, you know, I will play devil's advocate a little bit here, and I would ask the community to also take a look at yourself and think about, you know, what other factors could come into play with these landslide victories, right? So if you're, I know that nobody likes to admit that they're not as good as they are. I know that I'm not the best Armored Warfare player in the game, and I know that I'm not the most skilled players. Therefore, when I get into a PvP match, I tend to keep as close to my teammates as I can, because, you know, there's strength in numbers. And if you're playing, you know, this is purely an example, but if you're playing in a match where you got a whole bunch of heroes that are trying to take on a good squad, you know, 3-on-1 and whatnot, then you're going to get rolled every time, right? So, you know, think about what other factors are happening in these matches that you're seeing landslide victories, and kind of pay attention to what your teammates are doing, and see, you know, is it really matchmaking that's causing these landslide victories, or is it actually like perhaps it's a little bit of the skill of the player? I'm not saying it's one or the other. I'm saying I'm fully admitting that matchmaking is something that needs to be continued to be worked on, and it will. The team is continuing to look at the telemetry and make adjustments where needed. But at the same time, we also need to take a look at ourselves and see, make sure that if our team is losing, if we got a flank that's failing, that we're properly reinforcing, or like you're sticking with your teammates, you're not trying to take on, you know, a whole squad by yourself and whatnot. And the other thing that kind of plays in this a little bit too, and this is really, really minor in my mind in terms of the whole grand scheme of things, but you know, I would also look at what tier you're playing in as well. Tiers, you know, because we don't have PvP for 1 and 2 anymore, but 3 through 6, you know, we're in a pretty good state in terms of balance. You know, that's the. I'm not saying it's perfect. There's definitely improvement that needs to happen. It's going to continue to happen, especially in the next 2 or 3 updates. You're going to see a lot of, you know, a lot of iterations from the team to address a lot of that stuff. But you know, we know that 7, 8, and 9, 10 balance really needs to be addressed, and it is something that is a priority for the team to fix, and it is actively being fixed. And like I said, or it's actively being addressed, and like I said, in the next couple updates, so we're talking, you know, over the next 3 months or so, you're going to see a lot of progress on that front. But these are all kind of minor factors in terms of how a game or match plays out, and I would just remind the community to be aware of that, and to you know, provide this feedback to us, not only in these battalion nights, but, you know, we've got dedicated threads on our forum for feedback and bug reporting and whatnot, and matchmaking is definitely one of those topics that we want to hear about. And when you give us this sort of feedback, that just coming on the forums and saying matchmaking doesn't work, you know, I keep getting landslide victories, end of your post, that's not helpful to us. What we want to hear, we want some details from you guys saying, hey, you know, I've logged on tonight, I played 6 matches, each single one was a landslide victory, and there was 10 or more people left on the other team. This is what tier we're in, this is what was happening. And that sort of information gives us more, a better ability to be able to pinpoint what the actual issue is and address that. And I'm sorry, I do.
That was happening to me last night. I was playing with a platoon with 2 other teammates from my battalion. We had 6 landslides losses. And one example, from the beginning, the matchmaking was so. In the enemy team, they got